on the lists. So just some autopsy facts. Autopsies are performed to determine the cause of death for legal purposes. That's interesting. And for education and research. There's a lot of people that really would give their body up for education. That's how much they value. Oh, science is amazing. They're like, yeah, go ahead, take my body and give it to education. They don't know that they're going to be draining all their fluids and selling them or giving them to trannies. And this is another interesting one, just that the autopsy rate has dropped. I don't know where the source is on this one, so I don't know how accurate this is, but there has been a large drop. And I think that's why they've brought in all the synthetics. It's just a need. They need to do synthetics these days because not as many people are getting autopsies as there were in the past. But look how insane that was. They used to do 50% autopsies. Why would they do that? Well, it's because they were harvesting stuff from it. HGH is a chemical naturally secreted by the pituitary gland at the base of the brain that stimulates cell growth and reproduction. In the majority of cases, and certainly at academic medical centers, there is currently no charge to the family and frequently no compensation for its performance. Autopsies are free. Why is the autopsy rate declining? Beginning in the 1950s, hospital autopsy rates started falling from an average of around 50%. That number is insane for me to try to fathom that 50% of people had an autopsy to 10% in the late 1990s. Currently, the rates are even lower at non-academic hospitals. In 1970, the Joint Commission of whatever dropped the requirement that a hospital needed to have an autopsy rate of 20%. Wow, they used to have a mandated, it's like, I mean, you see that training land, it's the same everywhere. Everything's mandated through these, gotta have 20%. It's like the police officers being extra jerks right before they're mandated. You gotta have this many tickets. Training land operates the same way all over. They have these mandates. And notice it's about funding. This is just how training land government institutions work. You don't reach our mandate of collecting enough human brains to make human growth hormone. You're not making enough brains. We're going to pull your accreditation and you're going to lose funding. That's how training land works. This is where the pituitary gland is, pea-sized, probably where the expression pea brain comes from. I'll read this, it's worth reading. Hormones are complex molecules that regulate vital functions, including growth and development. In humans and animals, hormones are produced in glands and organs such as the pituitary, thyroid, and pancreas. Before recombinant DNA technology, drug manufacturers extracted hormones, including insulin and growth hormone, directly from animal or human glands. Human growth hormone required a supply of pituitary glands from human cadavers that was difficult to obtain. The new technology ensured an abundant supply of these drugs. In the case of HGH, the number of children requiring it to treat pituitary gland disorders is quite small. Why? Well, okay, true. The number of children requiring it for disorders is small, but the number of children abusing HGH is huge. It's just that they're trannies abusing it. However, with the supply secure, new markets and applications emerge. The drug is used to increase height. Look, they tell you right here. The drug is used to increase height in otherwise healthy children, to enhance athletic performance, and to rejuvenate aging bodies. They tell you the truth. How HGH made one dwarf tall. A young man featured in Life magazine in 1966 gained 15 inches with help of growth hormone injections. Although the extracted hormone was available for therapeutic use by the late 1950s, its availability was severely restricted by the limited supply of human glands. So just very restricted. They probably only gave it to the higher up trannies. They probably had plenty of T, testosterone, but HGH was probably something that they only handed out to some high level ones. And they also collect things from animals, diagram of glands and organs used for making pharmaceutical preparations. This is, some people say that why some of them look like horses, some of them look like other animals. Maybe it's because they're taking horse hormones. They get a lot of hormones from like horse urine. I don't know, maybe there's something to that. It can't be good to be injecting things into you that came from a cow. That's sick, satanic. These are pituitary gland products from the 1910s and 1950s. They tell you here, although these tablets and powders were widely available, they could not have been effective. Any hormones present were destroyed by the human digestive system before they could work. Well, How do you know that they didn't take the pills and crush them up and inject them? They had needles at this time, and so this is BS. Why would they wouldn't use them if they didn't work? I'm sure that they just injected them, and then it did work. They even tell you here that it could be injected. So there you go. They injected it. 1910s, they had needles. Needles go way, way back. I think the syringe is one of those things that people just assume is modern. If you believe the story, the first syringes were used in Roman times. I just take that to mean syringes have always been around. It's just one of those things people take for granted. And since they're fancier these days, they just assume it's a modern invention. So this is a bunch of BS. Oh, these tablets wouldn't work because they would have to inject it. Okay, well then they probably injected it. They probably knew what they were doing. Grow young with HGH. My little brother on drugs. Look at the orange t-shirt. The experience of a young boy on HGH therapy prompted his sister to ask, should we treat stature as a medical condition? If I was a part of the cult, they probably would have jacked me full of, well, I would have been an MTF, so it would have been a different story. But if you're just a short FTM, they might just inject you with the stuff just to make you taller. Well, we want you to be tall. People always ask, how are they so tall? How are the FTM so tall? Well, here's a big reason why. They're abusing hormones, HGH. Yeah, of course, it was harvested from human corpses. They try to tell you that now, this Creufeldt-Jacobs, they say that in 1985, mad cow, oh, they stopped getting it from brains because of mad cow disease. I say BS, they're probably still getting it from brains. Look here, HGH was one of the first biological drugs. Wow. That seems really surprising that the first biological drug was synthesized from a tiny little, the pituitary gland. It's like they knew exactly where to go to get what they needed. This is taken from Life magazine. New extraction method involves the grinding together of glands and dry ice to produce a mixture whose temperature remains below freezing during the pulverizing process. Eventually, the hormone emerges in a crystal form. So they're always getting new techniques for this stuff. Hormone yield from 100 grams of glands amounts to only 0.3 grams of fluffy crystals. Yale University method of extraction. Yale approved hormone extraction. Okay, so this is it for this video. This is a sketch over here. Leonardo da Vinci, of course, I believe is probably a fake character, but it just shows you that even what they tell us about the past, it's clear that they were doing the same type of thing. Leonardo da Vinci drew all sorts of pictures of bodies and bones and cadaver type things. When they talk about potions and alchemy, they're talking about this type of stuff, and they've always been doing it. And yeah, this is where you live. You live in a world where the Satanist trannies that own this place, they harvest their drugs from human bodies. God bless everybody. And yeah, that's it for this video.